Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to talk about a book that I think is the perfect choice for someone who is an absolute beginner at the piano and wants to improve in a fun but efficient and classical way. So the pieces I'm going to present to you today are super instructive and helpful, and if you work with them you will have a great start to your piano life. As I said, this book is directed towards beginners, so there are no requirements for you other than you need to be able to read sheet music. Yes, sheet music is important because it is the most accurate and the only true way that music is written down, so you will need to be able to read sheet music. Some people still believe in using various apps or other methods that go around sheet music, for example playing by ear, but I can tell you that these methods will severely limit your potential very quickly. So this book is by the Hungarian composer Béla Bartók and is called Microcosmos. It has the subtitle 153 Progressive Piano Pieces, which already gives you an explanation of the work. The 153 pieces are split into 6 volumes and begin from the absolute beginner pieces and gradually increase in difficulty. So there are super instructive and educational pieces for you. Please keep in mind that the later volumes will increase and eventually will become intermediate or advanced pieces. So as a beginner, focus on the volumes 1 and 2. You can check the link in the description to get this book. So now I have the Microcosmos Volume 1 open by Béla Bartók, and I will just go through these pieces with you and try to explain what's going on. So the first pieces are called 6 unison melodies, and that basically means that both hands are going to be doing the exact same thing. So as a beginner or an absolute beginner, you of course don't want to be overwhelmed with too many things going on or different things going on in both hands, and this means that in these first pieces we will be doing the same thing in both hands all the time. Now if we look, there is actually no dynamic marking written. For me, that means we should just play them in forte, get a little bit of finger exercise out of it. You don't have to think about dynamics, those come later. So the important part about these first pieces is that you do the rhythm correctly. So you need to count throughout, and when there's a rest, you need to be careful that you count the rest correctly, and really that's it for the first couple of pieces. You don't need to worry about dynamics so much or any phrasing, just focus on playing the right notes at the right time. And also there is like a legato here, which means these notes are to be played without interruption between the notes. And the rest of course be careful, and then it goes back up and comes back down. And also there is a metronome marking written, but you can disregard that for now. Just make sure that you play the right notes, the right rhythm, and that's pretty much it. For example, the second piece here has quarter notes written, which means it's going to be a tad faster than the first one, because even though the time will be the same, the metronome marking is the same, we have quarter notes here, which means we will be playing 4 notes instead of 2 for the first bar, for example. So this will be a bit more challenging for you to play the quarter notes, so just take it slow and concentrate on rhythm and right notes. For all of these 6 unison melodies, you will not have to worry about anything because both hands will be doing exactly the same thing all the time. There is no deviation, so you can concentrate on one hand and you will already know the notes for the other hand. It will be exactly the same, just a couple of octaves in between them. So these are the first 6 pieces. And then let's move on to the next one, which is dotted notes. And dotted notes, as you can see here, is punctuated notes or dotted notes is the same. And so we have a new rhythmic element. However, we are still playing both hands the same, just like the first 6 melodies, both hands go in the same direction. Then the next theme is introduced, repetition, which means we have notes that repeat. And as you can see here, for example, twice the same note, and then you follow up. By the way, these fingerings here that are written, the one means you start with the first finger and then basically keep your hand right there where it is. You don't need to move or shift because Bartók was very clever with this and he made sure that the hand would perfectly be able to play the whole piece from the starting position, so you don't need to shift your hand in any way. Then we follow with syncopations. As you can see here, some notes are going to be not repeated, like here or here, which means this will be a new rhythmic element for you to work on. After that, we have alternating hands. Basically, the left hand starts the piece here and then the right hand sets in. And this is a great preparation for counterpoint or fugues or canon, whatever comes after that, because this is basically the idea, is that the one hand starts and the other one sets in after that. After some more parallel motions, we now have the first point where both hands go in different directions, and this is called a reflection. You can kind of imagine a mirror here in the middle that actually reflects both lines. So basically when the right hand goes up, the left hand goes down, and so on. So this is the first kind of deviation in the direction of where both hands are going. Question and answer is a great little piece where you can see the motive here is first a question and then the answer. And this is something that is super important for classical music in general, because later on you will have this, of course, more nuanced and in a different context, but the question and answer theme is super popular in classical music. So you will learn it right here and make it sound like a question if you can, and make the response sound like an answer. You can work on the gestures a little bit, or the way that you play it, to make the first one more of a question, especially with the last notes. Then we have a village song, and then we have parallel motion with change of position, so pretty self-explanatory. By the way, these pieces also sound nice, which means you're not just doing boring Hanon exercises, you're kind of combining learning an actual piece with improving your piano skills. Next up we have a longer piece, which is the pastorale, and funnily enough, pastorale is apparently the same in all 4 languages. And this is a longer piece, as you can see here, about a page long, and we have a piano written. Also the first time we see a piano written as a new dynamic marking, so don't play it like before. And really this is kind of a combination of many different elements we had before. We have the inversions, the punctuated or dotted rhythms, the repetitions, and everything like that is kind of combined into this one piece, which is the pastorale. And this is also what I like about Bartók, is that he's very clever about what kind of content he wants to revise, and he wants to remind you that these things exist before you move on to the next piece. So one question is about how many pieces should I learn? How many of these pieces should I learn every day, and how many should I keep, etc. Really, it depends on your own pace. If you can learn this piece, for example, number 5, in a day, then you do one piece every day. If you need like a week for it, can be, of course, then you just need a week, and then next week you move on to the next one. Let's say you can learn 2 pieces per day, then I would recommend that you have 5 pieces in your repertoire, so to say. That means you learn 5 pieces, and then you move on to the 6th piece, but you still repeat the 2nd piece, so that in your repertoire you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then when you move on to the next one, you keep still the 3rd one, which means at any one time you will have the last 5 pieces still in your repertoire. Of course, you can also pick personal favorites, etc. Maybe later on there are, more, let's say, proper pieces that are not so in the direction of exercises, and you can keep those. For example, if you like the pastoral, you can keep it always in that repertoire. But I would suggest, whatever you do, whatever your pace is, keep 4 or 5 pieces always, the last 4 or 5 pieces in your repertoire. So really these pieces become more and more difficult as we progress. Also, for example, it's not always in C major, as you can see here. we start to add sharps, and really it depends on you how far you can go and what kind of pace you want to choose. But you need to remember that the first volume is for absolute beginners, and also the second volume is still for beginners. After that, it gets more complicated and a little bit harder. At the end of each volume, you also see an appendix which has some pure exercises. So these are really just finger exercises that will help you with the execution of some pieces. And yeah, you can do these. I would recommend doing these. You can actually also just go through all the chromatic keys if you want in them, just to get a little bit extra. So if you want to get this book, check the link in the description. I have the volume 1 and another link which has volume 1 and volume 2. Also, you can support my channel by becoming a YouTube member. Thanks for watching and see you next time.